Let's talk about one of my new favorite RPGs that I've been playing, Call of Cthulhu. And in fact, what really got me into this is the Call of Cthulhu starter set. So, this is a great game. You can find it on Amazon for basically about $20 with free shipping. It doesn't cost much. It's a great entry into this game. It's fantastic. This is a role-playing game for those out there. You can tell because, the box is a little thin. So it's mostly paper on the inside. Of course, with role-playing games, it's a co-op game, as you can work with your team and work with your friends to do it. Some might think it's a competitive game, but hopefully it's not too competitive. You should be working with your friends. This starter set has several different scenarios that you can do. There's a solo adventure. There's adventure for 2 to 3 players. There's adventure for 4 to 5 players. So it's kind of hard to nail down how many players can play this game because you've got a lot of different options. And it's quite frankly pretty awesome. The game time also varies. Obviously, if you're playing a solo game, it could take you half an hour. It could take you 3 days. It just depends on how long you want to work through it. It's really a choose-your-own adventure that you get to do and get to have a fun time with. I would say, though, that if you're playing the 4 to 5 player game, that it's going to take you probably 4 to 5 hours to play that scenario. All in all, we had this. We played this game at our local GuildCon, and we had a blast with it. So, I wouldn't recommend it, though, for anyone that's under 13 years old. There's a lot of PG-13 material in there. So, let's check out and see what's inside the box. Okay, inside the box. Well, this is pretty special. First off, you get a set of your own RPG dice. Look, it's not the best RPG dice out there. You can go find some better ones in your local gaming store. But you know what? The fact that they gave you these RPG dice to get started with so you could play, it's pretty awesome. They roll just fine, too. You'll notice that this one's blue and this one's green, and that makes kind of a big difference because this system is a D100 system. So most of the time, you're rolling these 2 dice and trying to roll under a number. 59? Ugh, that's not too good. That's probably going to get me killed or go insane. It's Cthulhu. So, beginning with book 1. What I love about this game is it has a very step-by-step way that you should approach this box. They literally say, start with book 1. Because they know that most of their audience that is playing this game hasn't really played Cthulhu. They're probably familiar with Dungeons & Dragons, or maybe Pathfinder, maybe even Star Wars RPG. Not a lot of Cthulhu. So they said, we're going to design a book that helps the person who bought this game become a keeper of secrets. That's the Chaosium who designed this game. That's their term for a dungeon master, the keeper of secrets, or fondly referred to as the keeper. So, book 1 is amazing. This was maybe, honestly, my favorite part about this entire game. It is a choose-your-own adventure that teaches you how to play this game. It's so great, right? It gives you a little intro of what is Call of Cthulhu? How does it work? A little bit of gameplay scenarios that just give you a taste of what it is. And then you get started. Literally, you can see the numbers here. Those are your choose your own adventures. You start at number 1 and you read this, right? Go to 263. Got it. So you go find 263 and you get there and you read and see what that does. And you've got different options, okay? What's cool about this, too, is it also teaches you how to build your character, right? So you're going to make some choices. Do you want a stocky character? Do you want a wiry character? Do you want a character that is smart? See, you can see this right here. Look at your investigator sheet. At the top, you have spaces for 8 characteristics: strength, constitution, power, dexterity, appearance, size, intelligence, and education. Allocate the following values among them, writing in the large square beside each. 40, 50, 50, 50, 60, 60, 70, 80. I know that's a lot of numbers right now, and that's okay. But the thing is you can go through this book and you start filling out your character sheet. So not only does it teach you how to play this game, it teaches you how to teach other people how to play this as well, and filling out the character sheet. And then it tells you, Oh, time to go back to page 8, right? So you keep flipping back and forth. By the end of it, you've got a fully filled out character sheet that is rolling dice, and it's a crazy classic Cthulhu adventure that really gets you into this. I love this. I had so much fun playing this game. It brought me back to the choose your own adventures that I got to play as a kid, but with an awesome, awesome Cthulhu twist. And, you know, it didn't hurt that I was playing this basically in the run-up to fall, it felt like. And I don't know, there's something about fall that always makes me want to, like, really get into Cthulhu and some of that northeastern eldritch horror stuff. So I can't wait for my good buddy Jason to play this. I already told him I'm going to leave it with him for him to try it out today. All right, that brings us to book 2. Okay, book 2. This book is arguably the thinnest of all of the books. Not a lot to this, but super critical to this game. It's the introductory rules. What I love about this is it's very clear. We talk about rule books a lot on our game reviews. Well, this one's fantastic. First off, it tells you where you can go get some online resources. It's pretty amazing. Some of those websites out there are pretty good. It gives you a little bit of background and concepts in the game. If you're new to Cthulhu, it tells you like what the Cthulhu mythos is. That this is a mystery and investigation game, which is a big departure from games that maybe other people have played, like Dungeons and Dragons, which can be a dungeon crawler, hack and slash, social encounter type of thing. This is mystery and investigation. That's a big component to this game. It goes through how to create an investigator. It talks about your occupations and skills to really get through that. There's all sorts of rules. It's important to note that the core rule book for Call of Cthulhu is something like 300 pages. It's a hefty book. But this rule book right here is only 23 pages, as you can see. And it goes through all of the things that you need to know. Sanity, madness. Those are, you can see that there's a nice crease here because that's a big part of this game. Going crazy, right? You've got all sorts of things. How to do opposed skill rolls. How to do luck rolls. How to do fightings and firearms and close combat and all of that. Because, yeah, even though this is a mystery and investigation game, you're going to encounter some things that you're probably going to need to get physical with. Olivia Newton-John would be proud. Yeah, it's fantastic. I love this game. It's easy to find the rules that you need to run your game. And the scenarios that they have really don't stress test this too much. And that's kind of what I like about this. And we'll talk about that a little bit more as we get into book 3. The prepackaged scenarios that they have with the character sheets that they give you really go hand in hand very well so that you don't have to look outside of this rule book to really know how to run this game and run it effectively. It's fantastic. This game also comes with some prepackaged, pre-generated character sheets. You can see here, good old Nevada Jones. He looks like Indiana Jones, but no, Nevada Jones is the better state, right? Of course. You got Lois Russo. She's an engineering student. By the way, Nevada Jones, he's an archaeology professor. I think it's fantastic. I love it. Nevada Jones. So great. You've got Keiko Kane. She's a science student. You got Wentworth Avebury. He's a language professor. You can see that there's a lot of academics, and if you know anything about the Cthulhu lore, you know that a lot of the adventures that happen are because somebody starts studying something that they're really not supposed to. They find an ancient tablet, they are able to decode some sort of ancient hieroglyph, and it unlocks this mysterious and pretty much occultish, eldritch world for them. And so it's not uncommon to have these types of people. You'll also notice that they're pretty much like 1920s characters, right? And that's really where this setting takes place, is in the 1920s, which I like a lot. You can find other Cthulhu games out there that take place in the Wild West. Sometimes they'll take place in modern day. Sometimes they'll take place in medieval times. I think 1920s, because of what H.P. Lovecraft wrote, a lot of his stories were in the turn of the century or early 1900s. It just seems to fit really, really well. And it's really low tech. I mean, you've got like revolvers and baseball bats and billy clubs that you're using. None of this high tech stuff. The game also comes with some empty character sheets that you can use beginning in book 1, like I was talking about. It'll tell you how to fill all of that stuff out. So it's really great. They give you everything that you need to get started. And what I like about this is they give you enough blank ones that if you wanted to, you could photocopy these and really just create your own, as many as you wanted. They're using the rules that are in book 2 because that's where they really are. All right, let's talk about the character sheet. Character sheet's pretty cool. It's pretty easy to understand, and it's actually really core, obviously, on how the game plays. So we'll talk about that too. Here you got all the bio information. Name, Nevada Jones. Occupation, archaeology professor. 35 years old, male, from Arkham, born in Winnipeg, Canada. Got a cool picture here, and you got some of the characteristics. Strength, dexterity, intelligence, constitution, appearance, power, size, education, and the move rate, how fast they are. Power is associated with magic that they may be able to wield, but you really don't get into that in these first introductory adventures, which is okay. Appearance is kind of your charisma stat, if you're used to other RPGs like D&D. Education is your knowledge. Size matters when you are trying to do things like tackle somebody that's bigger than you or, try to lift a car or something like that. You've got other things down here. You've got your sanity rating. This is pretty key right here. You can see that Nevada Jones here has a sanity rating of 50. Sometimes that goes up depending on the scenario. A lot of times that goes down. If you ever get down to 1 or below, you have gone insane. Sometimes if you lose a certain amount, you've got to do a roll, and that'll turn you mad or give you a madness, which can be sometimes kind of cool, and sometimes it can be detrimental to the game. Last time we played this, we had a great scenario where one of our players thought that his dead wife was outside of the house calling to him. It was really a zombie lady. Not good. You got hit points here. You can see here that Nevada Jones only has 9 hit points. Our characters are not sturdy. And this is one of the things that I really love about the game Call of Cthulhu, is that these are normal people playing. These aren't your heroes that have like incredible amounts of hit points. These are normal people falling into some pretty crazy scenarios. You've got luck that'll help you with your rolls. Magic points, but again, we didn't really get into that. Now, investigator skills. This is the bread and butter of the game right here. You have lots of different things. And, skills are not unknown in RPG games. But you've got a lot of different things. Even stuff like from accounting to firearms with a handgun, firearms with a shotgun. You've got things like knowledge of the occult. You've got things like sleight of hand, psychology, drive auto, like those types of things. The way that Call of Cthulhu works is that I mentioned earlier that you take these 2 dice right here. They're called percentile dice. This one measures your tens, right? So that'd be a 50, 30, 40, etc. And these are your ones, 9, 6. You roll these together, and you get a certain score. Right there, 25. That's awesome. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to roll under your score. So let's take archaeology. Wow. Nevada Jones has got a whopping 70 here. And a critical success is a 35, and an extraordinary success is a 14. Well, sometimes you need to have an extraordinary success because something's really hard. So what you'll do is the keeper will say, okay, you need to make an archaeology roll, and you're going to need a critical success to succeed on this. Like maybe Nevada Jones is trying to read some sort of weird hieroglyphic that he doesn't really know, but maybe it's some sort of reformed Egyptian or something like that. So he's going to roll, and he just got a 72. Actually, I read that wrong. He got a 12, right? Well, a 12 definitely beats that 35 that's right there. I know that's kind of hard to see, but it's much easier on the paper. 12 beats that. So not only did he succeed, he beat the critical success. So that Reformed Egyptian that he's trying to read, he's got a handle on it, and he probably just read a curse that just doomed everybody. But, that's another story for another time. Down here at the bottom, you've got things like weapons that he can do. He's armed with a 38 handgun. What's also cool about this game is there's nothing really crazy here. Yeah, sometimes you get a submachine gun or maybe a shotgun, but half the time you're armed with like a pipe or a shovel or something like that, because these are normal people, again, facing normal situations. Half the time you're unarmed, and maybe you just got to grab a stick, and that'll just give you a little bit to do, right? You've got your combat stuff here, how you dodge, your build, damage bonuses, anything like that. On the back here, you got some backstory. This is just the flavor of the game, and it's really fun. One of the things that I like here is there's some quick reference rules right here. So, for example, levels of success. If you get a 96, between a 96 and 100, you fumbled it. Like, that's an automatic critical failure that you have. Right here, there's a failure skill. If you beat it, there's regular. And then there's hard, extreme, and critical. So, those things come with it. You can do first aid heals, medicine heals. All of this is explained in the rules right there, and it's great. This is an easy to read, easy to use character sheet. It doesn't take much, and what I like about it is that you could easily take this with friends who have never played an RPG before and explain it to them in 10 minutes, and they're likely going to be able to pick up this game. If you do have a friend who does play an RPG, well, they'll be sitting pretty with Nevada Jones because he's got some pretty good stats in terms of, the Call of Cthulhu mythos. So this is a great addition and a great way to jump into the game that's already provided in the box. Let's get to the meat of this. Book 3, Paper Chase and Other Adventures. So the great thing about this book is that there are 3 adventures in here. Sorry, my book's a little worn because I was using it quite a bit. So the first scenario that they have is Paper Chase. This is a game really for the keeper and 1 to 2 other people. It's not a long game. It can be played in about an hour or 2, but you get a great sense of what it is. So if you're just starting out and you've only got 1 or 2 buddies and you want to just try it out one night real quick, this is the perfect investigation to get started with it. And by the way, that's what these adventures are called. They're called investigations. The second one is the one that we played, which was a ton of fun. We had a blast with this. This took us about 4 to 5 hours to play, and it's called The Edge of Darkness. And it was great. It took us all over Arkham and out to some farmhouses. You can see from the artwork that's in this. I do love the artwork in a lot of these books because it really gives a nice Cthulhu flavor, right? You've got this 1920s style that's going on with just this juxtaposed with just this horror that's happening to these people. And it really gives you a good sense and flavor of what you should be conveying to your players as they're doing that. And in fact, this picture here helped me really define the culminating event that happened at the end of the adventure in a farmhouse. And it was just a ton of fun because just wild things were happening to all of the players, and we still talk about it today because it was just very memorable. The last adventure in here, again, is for 4 to 5 players, and in fact, here it is right here. It's called Dead Man Stomp, and it takes place in New York, and it's got some crazy stuff that involves the dead and some jazz music. So it's a lot of fun. One of the things that I did with this when we played it, I wanted to ham it up a little bit. So I got some LED candles, and I got, a skull with a raven on it. And we had a TV in there, and I had some ambiance things playing in there. If we were to play this one as well, I'd have some jazz music playing in the background and kind of city soundscapes and things like that. And it could really add to it. You don't have to do that, of course, but these adventures really set the setting very well. You know exactly where you're playing, you know exactly what time frame you're playing, so it's easy to conjure in your minds like the look and the feel of that. And if you could just add a little bit to that, man, you're really hitting a home run with that. that's these adventures right here. But let me tell you what's cool about this box as well, is they have all of these handouts that work with it, right? So you see right here, handout edge 6. Maybe you can't see that. It's a little hard to read because it's so small. But it tells you right here, edge 6, edge 7. So this is the Edge of Darkness, handout number 6. You can take this and you can cut it out if you want to, or you can just hand it as is. And basically, they're little notes that the players find as part of the adventure. As I said earlier, this is a mystery and investigation game. And so things happen a little bit differently than your typical RPG. For example, you've got, sort of these symbols that you come across. Like, your player's going to look at that and be like, I have no idea what that means. And they're going to probably try to study it as if a normal Joe Schmo came across that symbol as well and we're trying to study it. And maybe they'll be like, okay, well, that line goes across that triangle that way, and trying to make heads or tails of it, and they probably aren't going to get much further than that. You'll sometimes get like police reports, and you can see that there are paragraphs of information here. What I kind of like doing, and this was kind of nice for me as the keeper, is I gave my players those, and I said, here you go. Here's the reports. Go read them. I need to go get a drink and maybe, do a little bio break real quick. And it let them really kind of dive into the materials. I spread it out amongst my players so that not everybody was reading everything, but they could read it and they say, okay, here's what I found in this report. Here's what I found in this report. And it really got them engaged together to talk about what happened, what they found, see if they picked up on anything. And it was really fun coming back into the room after they had done that. And they're like, oh my goodness, mine mentioned that name. And why was that guy there? Because they had mentioned him in New Orleans. And like, trying to connect the dots. It was like that great meme with Charlie Day and Always Sunny in Philadelphia with the, the red ribbon everywhere. So, it was fantastic. So these handouts are great. And look, you've got like maps for the different adventures that you can throw out on the table in front of them. I would have liked these to be a little bit bigger, but I mean, it's a smaller box, and the fact that we have a colorized map that you can put in front of the table, it's just really hard when you've got 4 or 5 people around a 6-foot table to see everything on the map. So you had a lot of people that had to like grab it, pick it up, take a look at it, and kind of go from there. So yeah, that's basically everything that's in this box. It was great. It was a great game, and I can't wait to give it a rating.
All right, everybody, it's Jason here. Let's do the summary. Remember, this is out of 5. Let's cover our standard categories from last time. Gameplay, replayability, components, fun factor, and overall score. When Justin and I played this game at our last GuildCon, we had a lot of people crammed around the table. We had a dark room. We had candles flickering. We had a fireplace going on the TV behind us. It was just a really cool immersive experience, and it was a lot of fun. This game is not your standard sword and board RPG at all. In fact, there is not a lot of action in this game. We had a huge finale that had a lot of action where we were boarded up into a house while things were onsetting us from all sides, and then the evil got into the house and the madness just started to ensue, and you can imagine where it went from there. But up until that point, it was probably a good solid 3 hours of straight investigation. And if that's your bag, then this game is for you. If you're more action-oriented, this may or may not be for you based off of the GM that's going to be playing with you. So we're going to give this a gameplay of 3. Now remember, this is out of 5, so that is better than average, but it is not your standard kind of action RPG. If it's what you're looking for, then that's going to be it for you. But gameplay of 3. Replayability. This is a role-playing game. That means that you can have lots and lots of replay in these systems. It depends on the stories that you want to come up with. The other thing about Call of Cthulhu is there is a ton of pre-published materials on DriveThruRPG and just other sources. So you could really take this for a long time. In that regards, because the replayability is high, we're going to give this a 5. Yep, and that's probably going to be a score that we have with a lot of our RPGs because there's so much content out there generated by the community, and you can always just home grow your own thing. Components. We're going to give this one a 4. There's not really a lot in this box, but what is there does its job. You've got pregen character sheets so you can play it out of the box. You've got it compiled into separate books. It's easy to read, it's easy to understand, comes with dice, absolutely everything you need inside the box. Most people are going to want to bring their own dice to the table, but if you don't have anyone that does have dice, you can just sit down, open the box, and everybody can play together. Fun factor. I tell you, we were all hooting and hollering at the end of this game, man. Those of us that had our sanity, at least. We're going to give this one a 5. It was so much fun. And in reality, this is what it comes to with tabletop RPGs. No matter what system you play in, as long as you enjoy the fellowship and the people you have around the table with you, you can have a good time. I've played so many systems. I've played broken systems. I've played OP systems. But at the end of the day, it's about the friends at the table with you. The system is not overly complex. It is a little different, but once you get the hang of it, you can sit down and really feel immersed in the system. You really feel like you're there in the setting, doing the investigation, trying to find the clues, reading the clues, and figuring out how they all link together to try to solve the mystery. We had a great time with it, so we're going to give it a 5. Overall, if we do some little finagling with numbers and math and stuff, it comes down to a 4.25. So we really like this game, really suggest it. If you want to get into RPGs, you're not really big into action, you're more interested in kind of the Sherlock Holmes or the investigation aspect, you want to solve puzzles and mysteries and unravel clues, this is a great thing to jump into. And like we said before, there is tons of pre-published materials that could make this a long-lasting adventure for you and your friends at the table.